Thanks for staying with Newsnight. Well, let's continue watching our story on emerging markets and take you live now to Argentina. Our reporter, Aldrin St. Pierre, is in Buenos Aires for us tonight. And one of the issues that Aldrin has been looking at is, of course, the massive inequality that exists between the citizens of that country. And Aldrin, inequality is not a topic as South Africa we are unequal, we are unfamiliar with, because we have one of the highest indexes of inequality in the world. So how are you finding has been the experience of Argentinians in trying to bridge that gap between the haves and the have-nots?
And that's it. It is a battle between the haves and the have-nots. Yesterday, for instance, one of the taxi drivers that we were with spoke about the state of the economy, and one of the things that he complained about is that he doesn't understand, he says, why he should pay taxes that would then go to people who are unemployed, who he says would then be protesting on the streets, blocking from doing what he's supposed to be doing. He says that this is unfair on him, it is a burden on him. And then on the other hand, you have people like Mayra, who's a 21-year-old who has 2 children. Her first child was born when she was 15 years old, and she's complaining that you have the child support grant, which is about 1,200 pesos, which comes to around 5 or 400 rand a month for each child that they receive from government. But she says that that's not enough. She says that most of that money actually goes to buying nappies. And here's the thing about that child support grant, is that the value of that child support grant obviously dwindles as this economy faces its upheaval, and of course the inflation rate having shot up, sitting around about 34.4%, expected to reach around 40%, the government says. And then on the other hand, you have the interest rate, which sits at around 60%. So this is the battle of the haves and the have-nots. And on our way here to this area, which is called Cockland, it's an upper middle class area here in Buenos Aires. On the freeway, there is a shanty town quite similar to the one that we were reporting from about 2 days ago. And when you look into the horizon, you can see skyscrapers. And one of the guys that we're traveling with was explaining that where those skyscrapers are is actually the richest area in Buenos Aires. And Kathy, as you would know, that story is familiar to South Africa as well. We have Sandton, which is the richest square mile. And just across the M1, you have Alexandra, where you have the poorest of the poor.
And you know, the issue of inequality and the kind of, I suppose, desperation it tends to create within a society also opens up room for opportunism, especially where politics is concerned. And in the era of populism rising the world over, how are you finding that politicians then are using some of those situations to not only sell their rhetoric, but also to influence how budgets are spent in Argentina?
And here's the thing about that, Kathy, is that hi, Kathy, I think here's the other problem, is that you have this vacuum that is being left open, of course, because of this economic battle that's underway, and of the battle between the haves and the have-nots, and this attempt to bring up the poor to meet, to be part of the middle class, or even the upper middle class for that matter. And that vacuum is then filled by these populist statements, as well as public rhetoric that you'll hear during campaign slogans. And this country will be going through that yet again. And speaking to Professor Ricardo Forster earlier on, he says that if you look at the country, this country has never been a socialist state. He says the battle has always been for the industrial parts of the country, as well as a battle over the agriculture parts of the country, because these are the areas. Here's the other thing. For instance, Macri's government in 2015, when he came in, he didn't then decided that, listen, I'm going to cut the export taxes on products such as wheat, as we've reported before, as well as the soybean. And this, of course, have meant that some people within those sectors would be voting for him. Where, on the other hand, there's been this argument that you should ensure that you actually make sure that you tax those industries, because these are the industries that are supposed to bring in the highest revenue for the country. Then on a level of the citizens, here's the strange thing about this, is that there is a subsidy for electricity, for instance, and this subsidy to everyone, Kathy, irrespective of how much you earn, irrespective of how poor you are. Then on the other hand, you have the subsidy for public transport, also benefits everyone. And the Professor Ricardo Forster, as well as the chairperson of the Finance Committee that I spoke to yesterday, both agree that this is unsustainable. Those who have enough money to pay for their own dues, including electricity, including public transport, must do that. And remember that that's an argument that's currently underway in South Africa with regards to this debate around free education. Should education be free holistically, or should education be free only to the poor?
All right, Aldrin, that's where we'll leave it for tonight, and of course for this week, and certainly hope that you've had a great time discovering Argentina and bringing us the reports on the state of affairs there and how that country is trying to make it through its own economic turmoil.